I'd like to take a moment before we start our venture into the various videos that I am going to share with you that I recall over my lifetime to paint a little picture for you as to what I'll be getting into. We have to remember back at the beginning, if many of us can, the beginning of the 20th century. Beginning of the 20th century was a very dark, and I don't mean in color, but a period where there wasn't that many luxuries. Not trying to compare anything to today, but it would be black and white. During the late 1800s, we had the Industrial Revolution, but right after it, we didn't have automobiles. The beginning of the 20th century, we got the Model T. There was no air conditioning. Everything was very proper. Women wore long dresses when they were out. Men wore suits, hats, top hats. Streets were not paved. Cobblestone, horseless carriages. Either you had a car if you were wealthy enough, which cost about $500 back then at the beginning, or you walked or you took a wagon. Again, there wasn't much. Very, very little. It was a period where we didn't know. It came. We lived in it. I don't know if I could, knowing as what I do today, but they lived in it. And they surrounded themselves with love, with family, with hard work. That's what they knew. Many of them were immigrants, came to the country, lived in certain areas where housed their majority group. Downtown New York, in Little Italy, was one section of Italians. Up on the east side were another section. So life really wasn't all that much, or at least based on today's standards, it was not all that much. But the people really didn't know it. They honestly didn't know it because they didn't know anything else. There were steamships, like the Hudson River Dayliner, that came out around 1807 and used to go up and down the Hudson River and take passengers up to Poughkeepsie from Manhattan if they were in a position to afford it. And then later on became wood burning and coal and so on in the latter half of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. That was life. Ice wagons to keep the ice boxes that they had to refrigerate their food. No refrigeration units, just fiberglass kind of units. Clothing, there were no washer dryers. I'm painting this picture to you to give you an idea of what they endured, what they went through, what life was like for them back then. I know that I have come to appreciate what life was in my period, which was quite a few years later. I come to know a man who was my father by the name of Pete. I think I appreciated him as best I could, like any other child appreciated their father. But as I got older, and I learned a tremendous amount of his lessons and teachings, I realized how great of a man he was. Truly, a simple man, a farmer, not at the beginning, but later on in the early 20s, 30s, became a farmer in Hudson Valley, and then had children. And I often wonder as I look back, did I appreciate him? Again, I'm repeating myself. I say I did, I guess as any child would, but I never realized the value of his lessons. Although I practiced many, I don't know if I practiced enough. Because if I didn't, which I didn't, I paid for it financially, heartache, otherwise. My dad would walk down the street in coveralls from the farm, and he'd be greeted by doctors or people walking the street would shake their hands, call him Mr. Cicale. I was so proud to be with him, around him. Why? Simple man. But he was a man of integrity, a man of hard work, a man that commanded the respect. As again, you will see through the various series and videos that I show of him, his life from the beginning of the 20th century up until his death in the late part of the 20th century. I really, truly have come to realize what he was trying to teach. And why I say that is because I taught my children a lot of those values that were very, very good, or at least I thought they were. And I think they learned a fair amount. Was it always easy love? No, it was tough love. Tough love. I felt that if I gave them what they needed, they would establish themselves. Hopefully individuals of character, hopefully individuals that could support and take care of themselves. And the biggest thing is hopefully through the lessons I was taught and lessons I taught them, they would live it and hopefully teach their children, which they have. We have come to an era of massive technology from all kinds of innovations, such as your air conditioning and kitchen appliances and refrigerators and dishwashers and TVs and 100-inch screens and on and on and on. We've become spoiled. Do we appreciate what came before us? Do we appreciate what they did to establish this that we have today? A lot of those that came before us laid a path down. And I often wonder if we really, really, really understood how difficult that path was, from the humble and meager beginnings to the advancements we've made, to the advancements we're still making, technological, going to the moon and all that. I wonder how many of you out there appreciate your father for what he went through or she went through, your mother. I wonder if you appreciate them today, what they're doing to help you survive. I wonder if they're laying down certain principles and laws, and I use the word laws, that you live by. Honor thy father and mother, simple commandment, possibly very hard to do. Or do we take advantage of them? Are the parents strong enough today to let them know what is right and what is wrong? Were they taught from their parents what is right and what is wrong? Let's hope they did. And I say it very simply this way, that if they didn't, we've left our world to a people that have no understanding of the work, the fight, our war heroes that laid down their lives for us to let us live with the freedoms that we have today. Freedoms that we take for granted. Freedoms that I've never taken for granted. I say to you, I had the fortune of enlisting. We had no voluntary draft back when I was a young man. We had to go. I went to Vietnam. And I look at that and I say to myself, I did not deter from my obligation to my family when they called upon me to work. They needed money. I did the best I could as a young guy of 14 to help them. I fought. I was discharged because of a bad knee that I had to be operated on. But I made the effort. I was there during the death of JFK. When he was assassinated, I was in boot camp. I know, or at least I think I have a feeling of what it was like. Do I know what Pete went through? Absolutely not. Have I had stories and told to me by my mother? Yes. Have I had people in my life talk about my dad? Yes. Not one bad. All beautiful stories. I wish I had appreciated him more, but I do now, more and more every day that I have left on this earth. And I'm kind of saying and going in a direction that I hope you out there had the respect as fathers and mothers for your father and mother. And I hope you're teaching the principles to your children of what is and isn't important. Military, fighting for freedom, doing well in school, achieving, making the next generation better because of what you did in this generation. I hope, and I truly do, that my videos not only educate, but inspire you to think, to make you really think what was, what is, and where we're going. Are we doing it all correctly? I'm sure we're not. Are we trying? I hope we are. I know it takes time. I know it takes effort. But if we don't do any of that, nothing will ever be achieved. Again, I say to you, enjoy these videos about Pete, his life, his legacy, and what it was to work, what it was to love, what it was to enjoy the simple things in life and never, ever, ever ask for more. Content in what you have. I hope you enjoy. If there are questions, please let me know. If you'd like to subscribe, you're welcome. Thank you very, very much for your time.